yet another class. In this class we're going to talk about how we can use final with inheritance. How can we use the keyword final with inheritance? To start with, it's good to acknowledge that final has three uses. The first one is we use final to create the equivalent of a named constant, and we have covered this use in a previous class. The second use is that we can use final to prevent overriding in inheritance, the scenarios where we don't want overriding to occur. Then we can also use final to prevent inheritance from occurring. So it has three uses. We've covered the first use. We're going to cover the second use, which is using final to prevent overriding. Now let me create a new class for the purposes of demonstration. So I'm creating a new class, and I'll just call this class final demo, capital F, final demo. Final demo. So we have our code here. Now there are times you will want to prevent overriding from happening. At times you do not want overriding to take place. So to prevent a method from being overridden, we specify the keyword final as a modifier at the start of the declaration of that method. For example, let's create a class here, the class A. Then let's give it a method, and we start it with the word final. We are declaring it as final. So the moment we declare a method with the word final, it means now this method cannot be overridden. So let's just type something here. We say system.out.println, and the message we print is just say this is a final method. This is a final method. In other words, we cannot override this method. Just saying this is a final method that way. Then again, let's create a subclass by extending A. So we have class B extends A, class B extends A, and this class we are trying to override. I want us to try to override the method that is in class A. So to do that, we say void math, and we give it that. Just want you to look at here. You're gonna see an error right away. Math is underlined. If you hover on this area, you're going to see multiple markers at this line. Overrides lesson.a math cannot override. Look at this second error notification. Error here. Error message says you cannot override the final method from A. Why can't we override the final method from A? Simply because we have declared the word final before this method, so we have prevented this method from being overridden. See, this will automatically give us an error. So let's just complete the code. Let's print something here. Let's say system.out.println, and let's say just the message, this is illegal. This is illegal. In other words, we cannot have that code. We cannot override. Now if we remove the word final here, now you see the error disappears, and we are able to actually override the method here with no problem. So this is just a segment of a code to just show you that if we declare a method with the word final, then that method cannot at any point be overridden. We are not going to be allowed to override that method. Methods declared as final, at times they provide what we call performance enhancement. The compiler is actually free to inline calls is free to inline calls to this method, because the compiler knows that they will not be overridden by a subclass because they are final methods. So when a small final method is called, the Java compiler can copy the bytecode for the subroutine directly in line with the compiled code of the calling method, and this is eliminating what we call the costly overhead that is associated with a method call. Now realize that inlining is only for final methods, since Java resolves calls to methods dynamically at runtime. This is what we call late binding. So a call to final method can be resolved at compile time, that is early binding. So the normal methods are actually they have their calls being resolved dynamically at runtime. So in other words, they have what we call late binding. But when we use final methods, we have the calls being resolved at compile time. And that's what we call early binding. So I said we can use final to prevent inheritance. The first one that we've covered is using final to prevent overriding, but we can also use final to prevent inheritance. So to prevent a class from being inherited, we also need to precede the declaration of that class with the word final. Now when we do that, it actually declares implicitly all the methods of that class as final too. So if a class is declared as final, its methods implicitly are declared as final. Java will not and does not allow declaring a class as both abstract and final. We cannot have a class as abstract and final, since abstract classes are incomplete, and also they actually rely on the subclasses to provide the complete implementation. So to do that, if we come to our class here, class A here, and we say we precede it with the word final, I want you to notice where the error goes. The error comes here. It comes to class B extends A, line 7, where we are trying to inherit the superclass A. So let's look at the error. So if we look at this error, we just check on it. The type B cannot subclass the final class. The type B cannot subclass the final class A. Why? Because class A is final. So this is actually illegal. This inheritance becomes illegal because we have declared A as a final class. Yeah, basically this is actually a short one. This is what I wanted to cover in this video. So guys, we will meet in the third part of Java programming, where I'll be handling packages and interfaces.